All right, guys. What day is today? Tuesday, June something. I think maybe the 16th. This video was prompted by Jeff Aubin's most recent question in our private members only Facebook group. But also it's born out of a lot of trial and error by myself and a bunch of others, and then just a lot of back and forth conversation that I've had with people, and that is the topic of options for wearable tech. So what we're talking about here is if you are somebody that wants to have something on your body that measures some aspect of your life from a health and fitness perspective. We've got a couple of different options here on the board that I'm going to just kind of break down. My hope at the end of this is that it has been informative to you guys. I do have a marker because I'm going to be writing stuff. I do have notes to kind of keep me on track, and I'm just going to give you my general thoughts and then opinions on these things. I tried to categorize them as best as I thought would work for everybody, just keeping in mind who our audience is. So we're going to kind of go over the good, the bad, and then that particular thing is best for people who, and then we're going to fill in the blank. So the five that I have over here is the Fitbit, the Garmin, the Apple Watch, the Whoop, and the Aura, or more specifically the Aura Ring. So I think that there are a couple of different categories of wearables. In this case, I'm going to actually group these into three different categories. First is the fact that my marker just died, so we'll try another one. The first group is going to be the Fitbit and Garmin, and then the Apple Watch actually lives on its own, and then the Whoop and the Aura are going to kind of get grouped together, and as we go along, you'll see why. So the good parts about the Fitbit and the Garmin is that they are very widely available, very well known. They provide an immense detailed level of data when it comes to GPS tracking, endurance running, because that is really the communities that it was born out of, both the Fitbit and the Garmin. The Garmin is definitely a much more niche product. I know that they're trying to bring it out into the Gen Pop market, but really the Garmin shines in a very niche specific market, and that is the endurance community. All right, so the Fitbit is aimed at basically taking the Garmin and doing what they didn't do all that great, which was bring it to the Gen Pop market and just kind of make it fun, easy to understand, but also it does provide some really good deep levels of data and GPS tracking, things like that. So that's what we're going to say is the good part of this first group of wearables. So we've got data, GPS, endurance. All right. So that is the good of the Garmin and the Fitbit kind of category. Now for the Apple Watch, it is an Apple product, obviously. So what that means is that if you are a part of the Apple ecosystem, so if you've got a laptop, an iMac, an iPad, an iPhone, the Apple Watch really fits in great in terms of integrating all these different things. It's also a watch that was very popular with folks that would describe themselves as early adopters, meaning that when a new thing comes out, they love to be the first ones to jump on that. And then just the connectivity and having a lot of features of your iPhone available on the Apple Watch. So that is what we're going to just call connectivity, tech, and the Apple ecosystem. And then finally, the last category is the Whoop and the Aura, and these are definitely different than these other two in that they were really born out of the desire to take a much different and holistic approach at looking at health and fitness and how do we measure it. So rather than focusing on GPS tracking and data analytics from an endurance or maybe an interval perspective, the things that the Aura and the Whoop are really, really good at is tracking things like your sleep, your recovery, the amount of strain or stress that is put onto your body. Let's see, the readiness, and then probably the thing that I think really sets these two pieces apart from the others is the truly personalized recommendations that it makes once it learns more and more about you. So basically, the longer that you use this and input data, the more personalized the recommendations become. And not just from a workout perspective, but from a sleep, from a hydration, nutrition, alcohol intake, medicine, sickness, all those kinds of things. So in a nutshell, the Whoop and the Oura are great at health and fitness tracking, sleep, stress or strain, and probably what I would consider like a battery life. So having had experience with most all of these things on here, I do know that these bottom two specifically probably have the best battery life, except for something maybe like a Garmin watch that does act more like a traditional watch. But these days, battery life for most of these wearables is getting better and better and better with each passing day. Now, the bad parts about these, the Fitbit and the Garmin, is honestly, if you are not a person that cares to track your runs, if you don't run a whole lot, if you're really not focused on endurance, I would say that this would actually be the downside for you. All right? The downside of the Whoop and the Oura, the more health and fitness oriented trackers, and this is from my personal experience as well, is that they don't do a great job of, what's the word I'm looking for? Automatically picking up on shorter but more high intensity duration activities. I'll give you a great example. Yesterday's workout in the gym lasted about 10 minutes. And it didn't actually pick up on my data stream until later when I automatically populated it in there. So these things are really set to start calculating unless you manually start your activity, which is an option. But these things really don't start picking up on changes in heart rate and movement until you pass about the 15 to 20 minute mark, depending upon which of these that you do use. The other part is that the Oura is a ring, so just like my wedding ring here, which means that it does get in the way if you are doing any kind of weightlifting. So barbell work, dumbbell work, being on the rig, you're not going to want to wear one of those things. You do want to take it off when you do those other activities. The Whoop does not have that problem. It's just a rubberized strap that sits on your wrist, or if in the case if you get the bicep band, it sits there and you're able to do anything and wear it at all times. Just let me pause for one quick second while I check to make sure we're still recording. Okay, cool. We're just past the 8-minute mark. The bad side on the Apple Watch, I hope that I don't get hate mail from this, but I am definitely what would be described as an Apple fanboy. I always have an iPhone in my pocket. I have an iMac, I have a MacBook Pro, I have an iPad, or at least I thought I did, but apparently my kids inherited those. So it would make sense for me to get the Apple Watch, but I absolutely cannot stand the hyperconnectivity that the Apple Watch carries over. When I'm working out, if I'm going for a walk with the family, if I'm going for a bike ride, if I'm doing something health and fitness related, I don't want to have the constant nag of my wrist buzzing because I got a new message, or I got one of my 500 emails at that time, or a phone call. And you guys see it in the gym, and not casting any judgment, but you've seen folks that do have the Apple Watch, you know, they're constantly taking a look at their wrist while they're in the middle of a workout. And personally for me, I just would not like that. So for me, the hyper connectivity that comes with having the Apple Watch that connects to everything else in your life, I personally do not like. I know a lot of people do love that, and I'm not hating on that. I'm just giving what my opinion is on those. So I would say that would carry over, and then we said discomfort. Actually, I should have put that over here. So what does all this mean? What would be the best choice for you? Well, number one, I wouldn't just take it at face value. I know this video was made in response to something that Jeff asked, but there are a lot of folks in the gym that use all of these things. So for instance, I know when I was doing a lot of personal training work with Sheila Green, she had a Fitbit at the time, and we used to geek out over looking at all the data that she could collect on days when we did interval runs or interval work inside the gym. So she'd be a great person to consult with that. The Garmin, I know a lot of our endurance crowd love the Garmin. I think Edgardo and Marlene said that they use it. I know that Chantel DeMuzio, she's probably a big Garmin fan because, again, she is an endurance junkie as well. So who's going to be the best fit for this? I would say best for people who really love a lot of data, in particular with regards to endurance activities. All right. The Apple Watch. There are so many people within the gym that use the Apple Watch. I know Suzanne uses it. I've seen Rob Wolfenden use the Apple Watch. Who else can I think of? I don't know. Any class that you go to, I guarantee there's going to be somebody there that is rocking an Apple Watch. So you can talk to them about what they get out of it for your specific purposes. The Whoop is actually the one that I use. I know Adam Wright uses it. Jose is actually the one that turned me onto it. And then the Aura, the one person that I do know that has been using this for a really long time is Dr. Justin Scott. One thing that I didn't say about all of these, and I remember that Marlene actually touched on this in one of her comments, was the aspect of heart rate measuring. So all these devices are going to measure heart rate, but they all do it at the point of contact, which is the wrist, or in the case of the Whoop, you can wear it up on the bicep band. The Aura measures it at the finger because it's worn like a ring. They are not the most accurate at the measurement point of the wrist. In terms of accuracy, you're probably looking at the most accurate just from wearing it on the wrist. The Aura, the Whoop, probably pretty good. The Fitbit and the Apple Watch probably come in second. Those are probably all second. The Garmin maybe the most accurate at the wrist, but it's a toss-up. There is nothing that's ever going to be more accurate up to this point than wearing an actual chest strap. I know Edgardo, Marlene, you said that you guys wear them. I know Mark James does whenever he does interval work. So that's another consideration. If you want to be hyper-connected, you want to integrate with a bunch of other Apple products that you have, that would be best for that person. And then finally, if you are really wanting to get into a more holistic look at your health and fitness, your sleep, your readiness, your strain, and getting personalized recommendations, I would recommend going with the Whoop or the Aura. The last part, and I think this is the least important, let me double check the camera one more time. Last part, and I think this is the last factor and truly the least important one, is the subject of cost. Fitbit, Garmin, Apple Watch, Aura, they all have a upfront cost, meaning that you are going to have to pay to get the device. The Whoop, you do not. When I got this thing here, it's a little elastic band. I didn't pay a dime for it. It is personalized just to me. I got this piece for free. But what you do pay for the Whoop, if you pay month by month, it's like a $30 a month charge. If you purchase 6 months ahead of time, it comes down. If you purchase a year ahead of time, it comes down for that. But there is the ongoing piece with the Whoop. What I like about it the most, honestly, is the personalized recommendation. And I am a fiend for getting into sleep, what affects that, because to me, that's the most underrated performance enhancer out there. Yeah, you could probably get a Garmin for a couple $100 up to maybe even $1,000. I know the Apple Watch goes well over $1,000. Here's the moral of the story. There is no one wearable that is going to do it all. So you need to decide what is going to be best for what you're looking for. And you can't say, I want something that's simply going to do it all, because it doesn't exist. All right? So try to be an informed consumer. If you want any more thoughts, opinions on any of this stuff, please ask, post in the comments. And any of you guys that use these, if you want to give your thoughts, pros and cons, I encourage you to do so. I hope this has been helpful. I think it was right around 15 minutes, and I'm done writing. Have a great day.